The third year of being married to Elias. I finally decided to divorce him to let him be with his first love. After leaving the divorce papers, I left town. Unexpectedly, I found out I was pregnant with his child. I raised the child alone, and it was at this time that he came looking for me, wanting me to change my mind. Looking at the date on the calendar, I opened Facebook and sent Elias a message. "Today is your birthday. I prepared a gift for you. Will you come home for dinner tonight?" The reply from the other side was only 2 words, "Not coming." Sighing, I turned off my phone and looked around the empty house, feeling a bit sad. This house was the marital home Elias and I shared, but in 3 years of marriage, the nights he spent here could be counted on one hand. I knew clearly that he didn't like me, nor did he like our marriage. To him, it was a restraint. Because of my existence, he couldn't marry his first love, Claire. Today is Elias's 28th birthday, the 18th year since I met him, and the 3rd year of our marriage. I have liked him since I was a child, but to him, I was only like a little sister. The one in his heart was always Claire. They started dating in their first year of high school and stayed together until college graduation. Claire chose to study abroad, while he stayed in the country to inherit the family business. Claire couldn't accept a long-distance relationship and decided to break up with him. Since then, I began to pursue him with all my heart, but he only said, "Luna, I just see you as my little sister." That word "little sister" became an insurmountable chasm for me. But I was unwilling to give up, and finally, I got my chance. That time, Elias made a bad decision due to lack of experience, causing the company's cash flow to collapse. My father offered to help him, with the sole condition that he marry me. Of course, he disagreed, but under the pressure from our elders, I still married him. I moved into this house full of joy, only to be left alone in an empty home every day. Elias despises being forced more than anything else. Because of the arranged marriage, he loathed me deeply, and by extension, this house as well, so he rarely set foot here. In the past 3 years, he never took the initiative to come back. Even when he did, he rarely stayed overnight. My attempts to hold him back seemed as invisible to him as air. I heard Claire had returned to the country, and he was probably celebrating his birthday with her. Thinking this, I didn't bother to fuss over dinner and called my best friend Jasmine. She was bored at the time, answered my call, and suggested we kill time at a bar. Since I had nothing better to do, I agreed immediately. After changing clothes, I drove to the agreed meeting spot. Entering the bar, I spotted Jasmine right in the center of the dance floor. She noticed me at the same time and pulled me back to our booth. "By the way, how come you're free today? Isn't it your husband's birthday? I thought you'd be staying home to celebrate with him." After hearing Jasmine's words, I gave a bitter smile and picked up my drink. "What husband? I treat him like a husband, but he treats me like air." "What? Did you have a fight?" "How could we fight? He simply ignores me. Even if I wanted to argue, there's no way to." Hearing my words, Jasmine understood. "I told you long ago, he's not the right match for you, but you insisted on marrying him." I was so foolish, really. I thought that as long as I was good to him, he would always notice me. "Jasmine, I was wrong, truly." After a few drinks, I was a little drunk and pulled Jasmine aside to pour out my frustrations. "You know, Claire is back. He must have gone to see her today. I should have known long ago, he never forgot her." "Oh, come on, if you ask me, you're just too stubborn. If he's seeing someone else, you can find someone too. Two-legged frogs are hard to find, but there are plenty of two-legged men." Jasmine gestured around the bar at the men. "See someone you like? Go up and talk to him boldly. You're so beautiful, what's there to be afraid of?" I'm already married. Listening to Jasmine, I felt a flicker of temptation. 3 years was enough time to dull the feelings of love, but because of my married status, I still hesitated. No one even considers you his wife. Besides, hasn't he already gotten married? And he's still going after Claire. After hearing Jasmine's words, I stopped dwelling on it. He does his part, I do mine. Just as I was thinking this, a man walked over to us. The man stopped in front of me, and Jasmine gave me a knowing look. I felt a bit embarrassed. The man spoke, "Hello, miss. I noticed you as soon as you came in. Can I get to know you and exchange contact info? Maybe we can hang out sometime." After adding me on Facebook, the man didn't leave but instead took the opportunity to sit down and chat with us. "My name's Alex. May I ask how to address you two ladies?" Before I could even speak, someone pulled me up. I looked displeased at the person in front of me. It was Elias. How could he be here at this time? Shouldn't he be enjoying a candlelit dinner with his first love? "Luna, what are you doing?" Elias's voice was laced with obvious anger. Before I could ask him, he was already questioning me. The alcohol was starting to take effect, and I sneered as I asked him, "Is this really any of your business? Are we that close?" Elias smelled the alcohol on me, frowned, and lifted me up. "You're drunk. I'll take you home." "I'm not going back there, that's not my home. And I'm not drunk." I kept struggling, trying to get out of his arms, but he held me tight, and I couldn't break free no matter what. The man had already left long ago, and Jasmine ran off when she saw things were going south. Elias was about to leave after dropping me off at home, but looking at him, I couldn't help but get angry. "Where are you going again?" "I still have some work at the company to take care of." "Lying. You're going to find Claire, aren't you?" "You've got it wrong, there's nothing between her and me." "You're lying. You've never been able to forget her, have you? I'm telling you, once you leave today, don't come back." Fueled by alcohol, my words grew bolder, things I would never say when sober. Hearing this, Elias sighed and no longer brought up leaving. Though my goal was achieved, I couldn't feel happy. Those words just now sounded like a bitter woman's lament. How did I become like this? Powerlessly, I closed my eyes and said to Elias, "Let's get a divorce." This thought had been in my heart for a long time, it wasn't something I blurted out in a moment of anger. After saying this, I continued, "I know you hate me. Don't worry, after the divorce, I won't bother you anymore. Tomorrow, I'll have a lawyer draw up a divorce agreement. If you don't trust me, you can hire a lawyer too. I'm tired of this house, I'll move out tomorrow." After a long silence with no response, I opened my eyes and was startled. Elias was half crouched in front of me, staring intently, the corners of his eyes red. "What's wrong?" "If you have other requests, you can tell the lawyer tomorrow." "Is it because of that man?" I didn't understand his words, and he continued, "Are you divorcing me because of that man?" "It has nothing to do with him. I want a divorce because of myself. Elias, I'm tired of spending 3 years alone in an empty house. There's no meaning in continuing like this. I'm exhausted. I want to let you go, okay?" Hearing my words, Elias suddenly lifted me up. The sudden loss of weight made me instinctively wrap my arms around his neck. "What are you doing? Put me down, I can walk on my own." Seeing that he was heading for the bedroom, I struggled to get him to put me down. He threw me onto the bed without a word, then bent down to kiss my lips. The kiss was so fierce that I could hardly catch my breath. Under the influence of alcohol, I forgot to resist and began to respond to him. The two of us gradually intertwined. Elias had never touched me since we got married. I never expected the first time to be in such a situation. When I woke up the next day, the sky was already bright, and Elias was nowhere to be seen. My whole body ached. Yesterday he took me again, and I nearly passed out in the end. I picked up my phone and saw a message from Elias, "Wait for me at home, we'll talk tonight." I felt somewhat disheartened. What was there to talk about? What I said yesterday was the result of careful consideration. He probably thought I was just drunk and speaking casually. I didn't reply to him. Instead, I called the lawyer who had drafted my prenuptial agreement and asked him to prepare a divorce agreement. The agreement was soon delivered here. After signing my name, I placed it where it could be seen as soon as you walked in, then began packing my things. Having lived here for 3 years, I had quite a few belongings. Although I could have taken my time, I was in a hurry to move out, so I only took the clothes I wore regularly and left everything else behind. Driving, I pondered life after the divorce. I couldn't stay here any longer. This place was too familiar and would constantly remind me of the past 3 years. Moving to another city might be a good choice. With this in mind, I drove back to the old house. Before getting married, I had always lived here with my father. When I went inside, I saw him leisurely lying on a lounge chair, basking in the sun, his eyes half closed as if he were asleep. I tiptoed over to him, but halfway there, he opened his eyes. "Luna, why are you back? Did you miss this old man and come to see me?" he said, smiling as he waved me over to sit on another lounge chair beside him. I obediently sat down, pondering how to tell him about my decision to divorce. My mother had passed away when I was very young, and it was my father who raised me. Throughout my life, he had always been willing to grant my every wish. If it weren't for that, my marriage to Elias wouldn't have been so easy to arrange. "What's wrong? Has our little Luna got something on her mind?" My silence made Dad feel puzzled. "I'm already 27, Dad, not a kid anymore." "In Dad's heart, you'll always be a child. If something's bothering you, tell me, and I'll help you sort it out." Finally, I mustered the courage and said, "Dad, I want to divorce Elias." Hearing my words, Dad's smile froze on his face. "Why do you suddenly want a divorce? Didn't you like him a lot? Did he bring it up? Luna, tell your father, did he bully you?" "It's not what you think, Dad." I comforted my angry father. "I was the one who brought it up. He's a good person, it's just that we're not right for each other." After hearing my words, Dad fell silent, finally just nodding slowly. When he learned I wanted to live somewhere else, Dad offered his suggestion. "Your mother's hometown, City A, is a good choice. I bought a house there. I originally planned to retire there with your mother, so it's perfect timing for you to go now." After buying the ticket to City A, I sent a message to Jasmine to let her know. The next day, Jasmine and Dad took me to the airport. Just as we were about to leave, a sudden wave of reluctance washed over me. Dad noticed my hesitation and comforted me, saying, "Don't worry, Luna. Once your brother has fully taken over the company, I'll come to be with you." Jasmine, standing nearby, also spoke up to reassure me, "Once you've settled down over there, don't forget to invite me to visit. I've heard City A has a pleasant climate, like spring all year round, perfect for traveling." After bidding farewell to Jasmine and Dad, I boarded the plane and left Yuching, the city where I had grown up. In the 3rd month after arriving in City A, I discovered I was pregnant with Elias's child. Holding the test report, I still found it hard to believe that the wild night had actually resulted in a baby. My hand resting on my belly, there was a little life growing inside me. It was truly miraculous. Just thinking about it made my heart melt into a soft, unrecognizable mess. I didn't tell Elias, we were no longer connected, and he didn't need to know about the child. But should I tell Dad and Jasmine? Back at my place, I felt conflicted. In the end, I decided to wait until the baby was born before saying anything. But the truth couldn't be hidden. When I was 7 months pregnant, Jasmine suddenly came to City A looking for me. Seeing my swollen belly, her mouth dropped open in shock, but she was left speechless. After hearing my plan, Jasmine was completely at a loss for words. She pointed at me and only spoke after a long pause. "Are you out of your mind? Do you know how hard it is for a single mother? I even kept it from myself, and you, do you still consider me a friend? I'm just afraid you'd worry about me. You're making me even more worried now, okay?" Jasmine rolled her eyes at me, then curiously reached out to touch my belly. "There's actually a child in there, it's really amazing." From then on, Jasmine stayed over to take care of me. On the day I gave birth, I nearly had complications, and Jasmine was so frightened that she immediately called my dad. When I came to, I saw Jasmine's worried face and my father holding the baby. Seeing that I was awake, Dad held the child up for me to see. "Look, what a lovely baby, just like you when you were little." It's a little girl. Have you thought of a name for her yet? Looking at the baby's tightly closed eyes, my heart softened. The day I learned of her existence, I had already chosen a name. Ophelia, her name is Ophelia. 3 years flew by in the blink of an eye. Unconsciously, I had been living in City A for almost 4 years. After giving birth, I opened a flower shop near my home. After I had the baby, Dad handed over all company affairs to my older brother and moved to City A to help take care of the child. This day was Ophelia's 3rd birthday. I closed the shop early and went home. As soon as I opened the door, my daughter rushed over. "Mom, you're finally back. I've been waiting for you so hard." Listening to her pretend to be mature words, I touched her forehead. "I think you've been playing hard instead. Look at your face, all sweaty." I took out a tissue to wipe the sweat off my daughter. Turning to Dad on the sofa, I said, "Jasmine just texted saying she's almost here. Once I change clothes, we can head out too." "Is Aunt Jasmine coming to my birthday too?" "Of course. Who would dare miss Ophelia's birthday?" After answering my daughter's questions, I went inside to change into a dress, then drove the two of them to the restaurant we had reserved in advance. As soon as I stepped into the restaurant, I saw Jasmine, who had just arrived as well. She saw me too and waved excitedly. The 4 of us entered the private room together, and after dinner, Jasmine took out the pre-ordered cake, lit the candles, and Ophelia closed her eyes to make a wish. After making her wish, Ophelia blew out the candles, then excitedly asked me, "Mom, can you guess what I wished for?" Let me guess, did Ophelia wish to skip kindergarten? I pretended to think for a moment before speaking. Ophelia would be old enough to start kindergarten in the second half of the year. I had already prepared her for it, but she was still very resistant, so I made this guess. Ophelia frowned with her little face. "Of course not, Mom, you're underestimating me. My wish is to be forever with you, Grandpa, and Aunt Jasmine." Hearing Ophelia's words, my heart almost melted, and Dad even had tears welling up in the corners of his eyes. Jasmine hugged Ophelia tightly and kissed her several times. After we finished the cake, Ophelia wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered in my ear, "Mom, can I make one more wish? I still don't want to go to kindergarten." Hearing my daughter, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You just said I was underestimating you, and now it seems I wasn't wrong at all. Come on, Mom, can you really bear to see me locked in kindergarten all day without being able to see you?" "No way, don't you like playing with other kids? There are so many children in kindergarten to play with. Besides, you can only make one birthday wish at a time. Don't you want to be with Mom forever?" Ophelia pouted, seeming to think talking to me was pointless, and then went off to cuddle up to Dad. I told the 3 of them to wait in the parking lot while I went to the front desk to settle the bill. As soon as I reached the counter, I saw someone I thought I'd never meet again in this lifetime, Elias. For some reason, the moment I laid eyes on him, I felt an urge to hide. "You and he are already divorced. Calm down." Telling myself this, I forced myself to calm down. He didn't notice me. After saying something to the receptionist, he went out. He must have just finished eating, I thought, quickly paid the bill, and went out hoping to find Dad and the others so we could go home quickly. When I got to the parking lot, I saw Dad talking with Elias. Ophelia, who was being held in his arms, saw me and excitedly waved, "Mom, hurry up, I want to go home quickly to watch cartoons." Everyone looked at me because of Ophelia's words. I awkwardly walked over to Dad, took Ophelia into my arms, smiled at Elias, and said, "Long time no see." Then I turned to Dad and said, "I'll wait for you in the car." Hurriedly climbing into the car, I found my own actions somewhat amusing. What was that all about? Running away in panic? I thought to myself, a smile inevitably creeping onto my face. Ophelia looked at me curiously. "Mom, why are you laughing?" "Nothing, I just get happy thinking about you going to kindergarten." Hearing my words, Ophelia pouted and turned her head away. "Mom, you're too much. I've decided I'm not sleeping with you tonight." "Really? But this will make Mom sad." Mom, you just hurt my feelings too. Then we're even. Forgive Mom, okay? Ophelia, if you don't sleep with Mom tonight, Mom will be scared. Mom, you're so timid. Well, I forgive you then, after all, you're my mom. At that moment, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jasmine. I've arrived at the hotel. By the way, I heard Elias has been in City A these past few days. I sighed and replied to her, I just saw him, he's talking with my dad right now. No sooner had I sent the message than the car window was tapped. It was Elias. I rolled down the window and heard him say, Luna, can we talk? Standing under the tree, I looked at Elias. He seemed hardly changed, still the same as I remembered. Time hadn't left any marks on him, instead, it had added a touch of mature charm. Weren't we supposed to talk? Why aren't you saying anything? I broke the silence first. Luna, have you been well these past few years? He finally spoke, but asked the most indifferent question. Pretty good, how about you? I exchanged polite words, all the while thinking about how to quickly end the conversation and leave. It was my fault back then, can you forgive me? Hearing his words, I sighed, Elias, I haven't blamed you for a long time. There's no need to talk about forgiveness. If you have nothing else to say, I'll be going now, my daughter is still waiting for me. Seeing me ready to leave, Elias hurriedly grabbed my hand. Ophelia, she's my daughter, isn't she? I tried to shake off his hand, but he held on tighter. I could only turn to him and say, you're overthinking it, Elias. Ophelia's father has been dead for a long time, the grass on his grave is almost 2 meters high. After hearing my words, Elias's hand weakly loosened. I took the chance to pull my hand back, got into the car, started the engine, and drove away. Before leaving, I had an inexplicable urge to look back. I saw Elias standing under the tree with his head down, looking utterly lost. If this had been 4 years ago, I would have been heartbroken, but that version of me was long gone. So, I just glanced once and then left. After we got home, I helped my daughter wash up, gently drying her hair with a towel. Mom, who was that uncle? Ophelia suddenly asked, and I paused my hand as I dried her hair. He was a friend of mine from before. Did you break off with him? Why haven't I seen him before? Where did you learn that word? Eva told me. She said she was going to break up with Leo, meaning she would never talk to him again. Listening to my daughter's innocent words, I couldn't help but smile, so young, yet already saying things like that. The next day, I arrived early at the flower shop to open for business. With Chishi Festival just a few days away, orders had started to pick up, and I was a bit overwhelmed. Fortunately, I wasn't the only one in the shop, there was also an employee named Mark, whom I had hired 2 years ago. He came from a well-off family, a second-generation rich kid, a few years younger than me. At first, I didn't understand why he wanted to work in such a small flower shop, but I didn't pry into his personal affairs. He was diligent and hardworking, and he helped me a lot. With Mark's help, the morning orders were quickly completed. We had lunch in the shop. Just after finishing, Mark got back to work. Watching his busy figure, I couldn't help but sigh, youth is wonderful, so full of energy. But I'm not a heartless boss, so I called out to him, Mark, take a break. There's no rush to work. You shouldn't do strenuous activity right after eating, it's bad for your health. Mark scratched his head awkwardly. It's nothing, Sister Luna, I'm not tired. It's not about being tired or not. You're still young now, when you reach my age, you'll understand. Sister Luna, you're not that old. Why do you always say things like that? Mark, you really know how to talk. I'm already in my 30s, and my daughter is 3 years old. How can I still be young? His words made me laugh. Mark was about to say something else, but at that moment, a voice calling me came from the doorway. I looked over and saw Jasmine, with Elias standing beside her. I told Mark to rest for a while, then stepped out of the flower shop, staring at this strange pair before me. Jasmine seemed to notice my confusion and hurriedly explained, I didn't bring him here. He's staying at the same hotel as me. I ran into him when I was leaving, and he insisted on coming along. It's fine. Ophelia is playing in the neighborhood. You go find her, I'll talk to him alone. After sending Jasmine off, I asked Elias helplessly, what are you doing here? Who is that man? He didn't answer my question but instead asked another. That's none of your business. I replied coldly. Is he your boyfriend? Elias stared at me stubbornly, as if he absolutely had to hear the answer from my mouth. So what if he is, so what if he isn't? I grew a bit impatient. I don't agree. Elias suddenly moved closer to me, and his sudden action startled me. Who do you think you are? I'm telling you, this is my private matter, and it's none of your business. How is it not my business? I already know, Ophelia is my daughter. So what if she's your daughter? Hearing his words, I almost laughed. Who would have thought that proud Elias would one day pester me relentlessly? Truly, what goes around comes around. I carried her for 10 months and gave birth to her. My father took care of her until she grew this big, and what have you done? She only found out you existed just yesterday. I'm sorry, Luna, I spoke out of turn. Is that all you have to say? I felt a bit disheartened and finally told him, we've been divorced for 3 years. What's the point of you doing this? Who said I divorced you? He grabbed my wrist. What do you mean? I never signed that divorce agreement. Elias. What exactly do you want? Back then, you didn't want to marry me. I was the one who clung to you relentlessly. Weren't you the one who kept thinking day and night about divorcing me? So what are you trying to do now? I just don't want to divorce you. When I married you back then, I wasn't unwilling. I just hadn't figured out my feelings for you yet. I thought I liked Claire, but after you left me, I realized the one I like is you. I was almost laughing in anger at his words. How had I never realized he was this kind of person before? Not wanting to get tangled up with him any longer, I turned and pointed at Mark in the shop, saying, You're late. I already have a boyfriend. We're very close, and Ophelia really likes him too. Who knew that when Mark saw me pointing at him, he thought I wanted to talk to him? He pushed open the door and overheard everything I said. I felt a bit embarrassed, but thinking in for a penny, in for a pound, I directly pulled Mark over and grabbed his arm. Mark seemed startled by my action and didn't dare move an inch. Elias had initially been a bit skeptical of my words, but seeing our close interaction, he had no choice but to believe. If this is your choice, I will bless you. With that, he turned and walked away. Watching his retreating figure, I let out a sigh of relief. It wasn't until Mark shifted uncomfortably that I realized I had been holding on to his arm the whole time without letting go. Oh, Mark, I'm really sorry. Don't take what I said to heart just now. It was a temporary measure, I used you as a shield for a moment. Please don't mind. I awkwardly released Mark's arm. Mark's face slowly flushed red at that moment. I heard him say, It's okay, I don't mind. Really, I don't mind. I heard his words but didn't quite understand. You really know how to joke. If you don't mind, then fine, let's go. I turned to enter the shop but was stopped by Mark. I looked up at him in confusion, only to meet a pair of dark, intense eyes. The emotions in them were so strong that I almost dared not hold his gaze. I'm not joking, Luna. I like you. I've liked you since the first day I met you. Before I could speak, he continued, I know you've been married and you have a daughter. I don't care. I'm not saying this to ask for anything from you. I just want you to know that I like you. I know you don't feel the same way about me right now, but I will work hard to show you my good side. Luna, can I pursue you? After hearing what he said, my head felt a little dizzy, and I could only reply, let me think about it. After quickly finishing the remaining orders, I closed the shop and went home, then messaged Mark to tell him the flower shop would be closed for a few days, so he didn't need to come to work for now. Lying in bed, my mind was a complete mess. So much had happened today that I was struggling to process it all. Recalling Mark's words, I asked myself honestly, do I really have no feelings for him at all? Not exactly, but those feelings are too vague. The difference in our statuses is too great, and such feelings mean nothing in light of that gap. To be fair, Mark is a very good person, diligent and hardworking. Ophelia's fondness for him is no lie. Every time she sees Ophelia, Mark patiently plays with her and occasionally gives her little toys. I suspect in Ophelia's heart, his place is second only to Jasmine. As I was thinking this, Ophelia climbed onto the bed. Mom, what's wrong? Is work tiring? Ophelia will help you massage. Saying this, she pressed her little paws on me, moving them around. Children don't have much strength, and after a while, she got tired and lay down beside me. She was silent for quite some time. I thought she had fallen asleep, but when I turned my head, I met her big, round eyes. Mom, what is a former husband? Hearing this, I was so shocked that I sat up straight. Who told you that word? Aunt Jasmine did. She said the uncle from that day was your ex-husband. I helplessly rubbed my forehead, that Jasmine really has no filter. Ex-husband means my former husband. Seeing my daughter's curious eyes, I could only explain to her. After hearing my explanation, Ophelia asked again, is he my dad? Is it because you cut ties with him that I don't have a dad? Hearing Ophelia's words, I was at a loss for what to say. After thinking for a long time, I slowly began, he is indeed your dad. Because of some things, we separated. Do you want a dad? No, Ophelia said firmly. I was a bit surprised by her answer because every time we played downstairs in the neighborhood, she would see other kids playing with their dads, and Ophelia would always be envious. She never said it, but I could tell. You and him separated because he wasn't good to you. If he's not good to you, then I don't like him. I don't want a dad like that. After hearing Ophelia's words, I couldn't help but hug her tightly. Ophelia, you really are Mommy's good baby. Mommy loves you the most. I love Mommy the most too. The next day, when I got up, Ophelia had already been taken downstairs to play by Dad. After a simple breakfast, I went downstairs to find the two of them. When I got downstairs, I found Mark there too. Seeing him, I felt a bit awkward, not knowing what to say, so I could only smile at him awkwardly. Mark, however, acted completely normal, as if he hadn't said those words yesterday. He was the one who confessed, so why was I the one feeling awkward? Ophelia was busy building blocks at the moment. When she saw me, she didn't have time to pay attention to me and focused intently on her masterpiece. The next few days were like this, and finally I couldn't help but ask Mark, why have you been coming over every day lately? He looked at me somewhat innocently, I want to see you. The flower shop is closed, so I can only come here. Hearing his words, I blushed a little. You're not that old, but you sure have a way with sweet talk. I'm telling the truth. About that day, have you thought it over? I gave a vague hum in response. Mark's eyes immediately lit up when he heard me. Looking at him like that, he reminded me of a puppy. If he had a tail, it would definitely be wagging right now. Since then, Mark seemed to have disappeared. He didn't show up for days. I was puzzled but didn't let it show. On the evening of the Chishi festival, Mark sent me a message, are you free today? Can we have dinner together? I replied, sure, what time? I'll come find you. He quickly responded, no need, I'm downstairs at your building. Just let me know when you're ready, I'll wait for you. After changing clothes, I put on a simple makeup. It had been a long time since I'd gone out to eat alone with a man, and I couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Seeing me like this, Ophelia ran over curiously and asked, Mom, are you going out? I nodded, then heard her say, I want to go too, I want to go with Mom. As soon as he finished speaking, Dad picked her up and said, Ophelia, you'll stay home and play with Grandpa today. Mom has something important to do outside. Hearing Dad's words, I couldn't help but feel a little shy. Ophelia glanced at me with a look of sudden understanding. I get it, Mom is going on a date, right? Is it with Uncle Mark? Where did you learn all these messy words? What does it matter if it is? Then go ahead, Mom. You have to win over Uncle Mark. I want him to be my new dad. I pinched my daughter's cheek. You little rascal. Walking downstairs, I immediately saw Mark standing there waiting for me. He was dressed in a formal suit and holding a bouquet of flowers, looking very different from his usual self. For you, he said, handing me the flowers. At the car, Mark carefully opened the door for me. After I was seated, he got into the driver's seat. Where are we going now? This was the first time I was alone with him since accepting his pursuit, and I couldn't help but feel a bit nervous, so I awkwardly tried to make conversation. You'll find out soon enough. He didn't answer me directly but kept it a mystery. Before long, we arrived at our destination, a very famous private restaurant. It's really hard to get a reservation here, and today is Chishi Festival. How did you manage to book it? I asked, surprised. I actually made the reservation a long time ago. He said proudly. Aren't you afraid I won't agree to go out with you today? If you don't agree, then I'll have to come by myself. He looked at me pitifully. I couldn't stand his gaze and urged him to hurry inside. After dinner, it was already late, but Mark showed no intention of taking me home. Instead, he took me to the largest shopping mall in City A. What are we doing here? I asked, puzzled. Mark didn't answer but glanced at his wristwatch. Then, the big screen in the plaza lit up. I looked up and saw a sentence, Luna, I like you. I looked at Mark in surprise. He wasn't looking at the screen but was waiting for my reaction. When he saw me look at him, he held my hand. Were you preparing this a few days ago? Don't you like it? My friends all said it's too cheesy, but I couldn't think of anything else. Their ideas were all terrible. He rambled on, and I squeezed his hand back, cutting him off. It is a bit cheesy. Before he could respond, I added, but I really like it. He stood there dazed, as if he hadn't quite processed what I said. Then suddenly, he lifted me up. Really? That's wonderful. I wrapped my arms around his neck and smiled at him. Don't you have anything else to say to me? He caught my meaning, hugged me excitedly, spun me around once before setting me down. Miss Luna, will you be my girlfriend? Let me think. Seeing how eager he was, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Of course I will. He held me and spun me around a few more times, overjoyed. After that, Mark took me home, and only left after seeing me safely inside, opening the window to wave goodbye to him. Seeing the sweet look on my face, Ophelia came over and asked, Mom, did you win over Uncle Mark? You little thing, why are you prying so much? I picked her up and tapped her nose. I know even if you don't say it, Ophelia hummed in response. In the months that followed, Mark and I dated like any ordinary couple. It wasn't uncommon to see us walking hand in hand in the park at night. Our relationship blossomed rapidly during those months, becoming inseparable. That day, I received a package addressed to me, with my phone number as well. Strange, I hadn't bought anything these past few days. With that thought, I cautiously opened the package. Inside was only a contract. I took it out and glanced at it. It was a divorce agreement. After carefully reading through the agreement, my feelings were complicated. In the document, Elias had given most of his assets to Ophelia and me, and it clearly stated that Ophelia would inherit everything after his death. Looking at that signature, I felt a wave of emotion. Thinking back to my previous obsession with Elias, it all seemed like a dream, as if from another world. After signing, Mark also messaged me, inviting me out to dinner that evening. On a whim, I sent him a message, let's get married. Realizing what I'd done, I quickly retracted it. But it was already too late. The person on the other side sent a long string of messages, really? You're not joking with me, are you? I'm coming to your house right now, let's talk face to face. Wait for me. Imagining Mark's anxious expression, I found it a bit amusing and replied to him, don't rush, I'll wait for you. While waiting for Mark to arrive, my thoughts circled around several times. That message was sent hastily, but upon careful consideration, I wasn't opposed to marrying Mark. In fact, I even felt a bit hopeful. The doorbell rang. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Mark holding a ring, kneeling on one knee. "Luna, will you marry me?" I covered my mouth in surprise. "When did you buy the ring?" He kept that posture and answered me, "The day after you agreed to be my girlfriend." Proposals are something men should do, of course. I reached out my hand, tears glistening in my eyes. "I do." Mark slipped the ring onto my finger, stood up, hugged me, and gently kissed me. A few months later, Mark and I held our wedding. In the dressing room, Jasmine, my bridesmaid, was surprised at how quickly my relationship had progressed, but I told her, love is sometimes just that magical. I used to think I loved Elias, but now I understand, that was just my obsession. Do you love Mark? Of course, I'm sure. I love him. I love you too. Mark had somehow come up beside me, gently holding my hand. I clasped his hand back, just like I had done countless times before.